Okay, so here we go. I decided I was going to demonstrate the. I'll just do a go through on the Vorgon Ytijara Dreadnought Cruiser, which is I've configured as a mine layer, which is quite an unusual thing in this game. Although there were a bunch of buffs to mines not long ago, which kind of made it plausible all of a sudden. But it came around the time of this, which was an event. Bit of gear, the Black Ops mine launcher. Very, very good. Okay, so anyway, I'm just going to go through my build and talk you through the logic behind it and the seating and everything else and some traits, and hopefully it'll all make sense why I built it this way. It's and a lot of the gear requires you to have the Vorgons, Vorgon ships, all three. So that's a Vorgon Escort, a Vorgon Carrier, and the Vorgon Dreadnought Cruiser, which is this ship. Also, the Black Ops mine launcher is worth having. You'd need to have it from the event. I'm pretty sure it's either in the Phoenix packs or the Mud store these days. Is it in the Muds? It's in the Muds market. It's ridiculously expensive, so obviously wait for a sale before you bother buying that. But it's pretty dependent on those things. That's the keys around which everything else is built. So. It's not the most expensive. There are a couple of traits that you'll see which come up and down in price. They vary wildly. I picked them up both about 8 million. Well, one was 8 million, the other one was less, significantly less than 8 million because it had just come out and nobody wanted it. Both of those are now more than 20 million. So it's worth having a look around and just keeping your eye on the exchange. The other item is a DOF, which reverses the tractor beam pulsers into pulling rather than pushing, and then the other item I've got which is expensive is a covert mine layer suite, which is a Lobby item. Again, always worth waiting for a sale before you buy anything Lobby. So let me just take you through the logic. It's a very unusual ship. It's 5 rear weapon slots, 3 front. It's the only one of its kind in the game so far, I believe. Nothing else has come out with a setup where there's more aft weapons than 4. So it lends itself to being a mine layer just simply because it can fit more mines on it than any other ship. The specialisation of the ship isn't best supporting mine layers. That would probably be, if we had a command seat instead of this temple one, that would make it damn near perfect. But it isn't, and this is what we've got. So let's go through the logic of it. So in terms of how the ship is set up, is built, I have one torpedo, which is the Advanced Temporal Defense Chronoton Torpedo Launcher, which is a defense rep weapon. Temporal rep weapon, and that the reason I'm carrying that is it's a Chronoton torpedo which synergizes with other aspects of the build you'll see later, but also when you put it in high yield, which I have, it becomes a cluster torpedo launcher. So let's just do that and then mouse over here, and you'll see what happens is it launches a level 65 Advanced Temporal Defense Chronoton cluster torpedo which explodes to create 7 Chronoton mines. If I wasn't running this as a Tetrion build, then I'd be very tempted to stick the Vardoir and the Breen cluster torpedoes up here as well, just to make it the ultimate mine-creating ship. But I kind of want one ship that's running Tetrion for when we get the Endeavours that roll around, and the Vorgon consoles boost Tetrion, so I've decided to make it kind of dual. It's mostly mines, but then with Tetrion as a secondary damage type. Okay, so that's the torpedo. The second one is the Tetrion dual beam bank from the Nukara reputation. I have the second part. There are 2 parts of this. The other one is the web mine launcher. So that's the first one of our mines as well. The 2-piece set boosts Tetrion damage. And, well, drain expertise, which makes no damn difference. So, again, a little bit of a boost to the Tetrion damage there. The third 4 weapon is the Omni Beam. Weird seeing an Omni up front, but I wanted as many mines as possible. This is from the Krenim Temporal Manipulation set, which I think is free from the Butterfly mission. Let me just check that.
The research teams in the Kiana system require your assistance.
Yes, that's the Butterfly. So that's free from Butterfly. And so the 3-piece is the Omni, Warp Core, which has a good temporal phase capacity, with a good boost. But Warp Core again brings your bridge officer recharge times down by 50%, 15 seconds. It's very good. The third part is this, which is a science console which boosts auxiliary power shield capacity, critical chance, and critical severity based on your auxiliary power level. And the 3-piece, both the 2 and 3-piece bonus are relevant here. We have a Tetrion damage boost again for the set 2-piece. The 3rd piece is like an AoE of 10 kilometers around you that does a burst of Tetrion damage. It can hit maximum 10 targets. It says 1182, is that correct? Yeah, 1118.2 Tetrion damage. So not massive, but it's something. And again, oh no, hang on, wait, no, I'm reading that wrong. It's better than I thought. So it does 6,230 Tetrion damage to 10 targets. And then any targets within 2 kilometers of those targets take another 1.1k Tetrion damage. So if targets are clustered up, that could really add up if you get them in a grav well, which of course I'm not running on the ship because it doesn't really have the seating for a grav well. But all the same, if you see somebody in a grav well, it's not a bad one to be thinking about. Okay. And then we go to the rear weapon. Let's do the rear weapons next. So the Nukara mine launcher I've already talked about from the Nukara rep. The next one is the advanced inhibiting chronoton rapid mine launcher from the Gamma rep. That is part of, again, a set, the second part. Third item, modulated competition mine launcher, which is from the competitive reputation. Not much to say about that other than it's a pretty strong mine. It basically, after it launches, it then increases by 5% damage per second until 30 seconds after it's launched. And so what happens is basically all the time it's chasing until it hits is time where it's building up its potential damage. The next one is a biomolecular photon mine launcher. That molecular would indicate it's from the 8472 reputation, which it is, but it's not a reputation weapon, it's from the actual reputation store. The reason I chose that is because you can actually buy it with boosts to radius. So that's the that basically increases the explosion radius by 1.5 kilometers. So again, if you're getting people who are close together who get hit with one of those, then the explosion radius actually is significantly bigger than the rest of the mines. So that's the reason I took that one again. I'm not sure if they're the best mine to be in that slot, but having looked at all the other ones around, because of the radius increase, that was the one I opted for. And the final one, which is the best mine launcher in the game, which is the Black Ops mine launcher. Really, really good. Hence why I've epicked it before anything else on the build. Not part of a set, but just, a really good mine launcher. So let's go to the deflectors, impulse and shields. So we've got the Nukara set for all of these. And the reason I've done that is because, you see more details, there's a boosted all damage. Is it all damage? No, energy weapon damage of just 5%, which is again, anything that's going to help increase the damage on these Tetrion weapons, considering I have so few of them. And the 3-piece, which is again yet more Tetrion damage, all of which is boosted by Tetrion boosts. So it's a long recharge, but again, it's 10 kilometer range, and this is a single target ability. You hit one person, and it does 12,000 Tetrion damage. However, if there's any foes within 5 kilometers, it will then do 12,000 damage to them as well. So again, it works as a if targets are clustered up slightly, then you can really make good use of this. And again, all these things are being boosted by any Tetrion boosts, so it's quite a good thing to have. Not to mention the Nukara shield is incredibly tanky. I think it's got the highest capacity in the game, I'm not sure about the most recent shield actually. But again, very high capacity. It's resilient, which is the right type to have. And the Nukara impulse engines giving you extra shield power, again very useful on the build. I'm not so sure about the deflector is not really much, it's just there to complete the set basically. My devices are not really much worth mentioning. Subsocial modulator for a bit of tank, temporal negotiator to bring down bridge officer powers, and then reactor armor catalyst when I need a quick heal. I never use the weapons battery, I don't know why it's even here. So then the consoles, I have all three Vorgon consoles, again building around synergy with the ship and with Tetrion damage and with mines. So this one, a bit of hull capacity restoration, nothing to be excited about. The Sif inverter beam is a radiation damage that's down here on a single target. it also drains you when you do it, and then you gradually heal back after you click it. So it's a bit risky from that point of view. But if you're tanky enough, you can take it, and it's a good single target damage, and it just like clicks away at them. I don't think I'd be running this if it wasn't for the 3-piece bonus that it gave me. It's not the best console. But however, the 3-piece bonus is 20 flight speed for mines and torpedoes. So just on that basis alone, it's worth it. The 2-piece is great. I'd actually be running the 2 other consoles anyway. That's 19 Chronoton Mine and 19 Torpedo and Tetrion. Not amazing boosts, but they are, again, they synergize well with the build because you've got the Tetrion energy weapon damage, and then we've got a Tetrion Torpedo and 1 Tetrion Mine. It's that one. No, Chronoton, sorry. Why am I saying Tetrion? I mean Chronoton. Let me just still check. It's Chronoton. It's Chronoton, not Tetrion. Tetrion energy damage and Chronoton mines. Yes, there's 1 mine. They're a little bit extra there. That clicky on there, this basic defense drone, just operates as a little bit of an emergency heal, which you can see here. So again, I use it like I use reverse shield polarity. If I'm noticing I'm getting in a bit of trouble, I will click this. The good thing is the drone that comes out and orbits around you, as well as healing your shields, it also fires at 2 targets within 4 kilometers and does Tetrion damage, which is boosted by any Tetrion damage boosts. So that's really good. Then the final one is the harasser probes. I think that was from the Vorgon Escort. Again, all these 3 are Vorgon consoles. And that creates 2 harasser probes that do Tetrion damage and also use tractor beams to hold enemies in place. However, you can see on both these 2 consoles, the passives are actually really good too. So this one gives mine and torpedo damage, a bit of shield power, which is always nice. This one gives 25% Tetrion damage and 8 critical severity. So, again, as a set, it all just really adds up on this ship. The next console is the Covert Minelayer Suite. This is a Lobby console. I'd say this is probably the last expensive item on the build you would buy, because it doesn't work unless one of the other items that you would buy earlier, unless you already have that. So I'll talk about that in a moment. So this gives you a 0.5 second shared mine recharge time. So that reduces the time in between mines being able to launch. Torpedoes and mines, you can't launch them right on top of the other like you can beams, where they just fire one and then there's a half a second, then the next one fires. There's a longer delay. So between the Covert Minelayer Suite and the next console, they actually bring down the gap between mine launches. So that one is minus half a second, this one is minus 1.5 seconds. So that brings down the gap significantly between mines being launched, which means you can get more mines out onto the battlefield, which gives you better potential damage. Then you have 35% mine damage, obviously wonderful. Most of the damage is coming from the mines on this build. The extra thing is that faraway mines creep towards enemies. So you'll find normally with mines, they have a range of 3 kilometers. Now all these mines actually have a longer range. Where can I see that? There you go. One arms able to chase for enemies that get within 7 kilometers. Normally this would be 3.5 kilometers. The reason these ranges are longer is because of a trait which is essential to the build. So, well, essential to make it really, really work. So the other trait on this console, it makes mines creep. So that makes, so normally your range would be 7 to 8 kilometers depending on which mine, and then anything beyond that, their mines will not track. So what this does is extend that to 10 kilometers. So any mines that are within 10 kilometers of an enemy will crawl towards the enemy until they get within 6 kilometers. At that point, they will stop until they're in that range again, then they'll creep towards. So they'll carry on hovering. You really need to extend that active range of the mines to make sure it goes from 10 kilometers all the way down to 0, so they push all the way in, and you do that with a trait, which I'll show in a moment. The next console is from the Gamma, which pairs with one of the Gamma mines. The console passives are great. Again, the shared mine recharge time, 20% mine recharge speed, which means the mines cycle faster, by 20% faster. The projectile weapon damage is wonderful. Phaser and pylon damage is absolutely useless, but then the other things make it worthwhile. The set bonus on this console is the 2-piece Chronoton weapon damage. The rest, flight turn rate I suppose is good, but 10% won't do a lot for a dreadnought. Chronoton weapon damage, it's a little, it's something, and the torpedo and one of the mines are Chronoton weapons, so they a slight boost. Then we get to the things that boost Tetrion damage. So this is from a lockbox. It's on the exchange sticky web. It boosts Tetrion damage, gives you a bit more auxiliary. This one is from a mission. I'm pretty sure it's one of the ones with Zenkethi in it. New Frontiers.
Captain Neth Par has turned herself into
Renegade's Regret from New Frontiers. And again, a passive boost to Tetrion damage, a bit of shield restoration. Drain is pointless on this. Well, I suppose Drain will boost Tetrion slightly, but you're shooting off so few Tetrion beams, I doubt the proc is even coming into play. And the other one is the Temple Escape. It's the Entanglement Suite, which is part of the Grenim set, which we talked about earlier on. Auxiliary is boosting crit chance and crit severity, which is probably the best reason to have that there, as well as the 3-piece. My tactical consoles are packed with mine, weapon damage boosters, and crit hit chance boosters. Those are Bellum consoles. That's from the Discovery Rep store. A better thing to have in the place would, if you're struggling to stay alive, then the Colony Fleet consoles that boost Tetrion damage and mine damage would be good, or projectile damage with Tetrion. Or maybe even the Fleet consoles, the Spire consoles that boost Tetrion, mines and crit chance might be a good option as well. I haven't tried any of those because I just don't have the fleet marks on this character. I haven't taken the character that far, developed for that far. Okay, so that's the setup of the ship. I've got the default frigates in there. I didn't even want to upgrade them even a little bit because the upgrades don't give you anything. The abilities move to Alpha 2 and Suppression Barrage 2, but I don't find those are worthwhile, so I'm just leaving them as is. Again, I'm not relying on them on the build, they're just a little bit of nice extra damage. And again, they fit in with the theme. So the next thing to look at is the traits that I spoke about. So the only two unusual ones, I'm running Beam Training, Fleet Coordinator, a lot of standard ones, Kinetic Precision, Projectile Training, Beam Barrage, you may as well. I'm giving Give Your All to give a bit of engine, a bit of tank there, and this one to give me a bit more tank. I got that free in a drop box. It is in no way essential. It's just there because when I started flying the ship, I needed a little bit more tank. So the essential ones here are Hot Pursuit. Is Hot Pursuit. That's the only essential one. The other one is just a nice bonus. So Hot Pursuit doubles the range of your mines. It's on the exchange. It varies in price wildly. I picked it up for about 8 million. It's currently around 20 million. So keep your eye on the exchange. And that's definitely one you need to pick up though, because that gets your mine range from 3.5k to 7k or 8k, and then when you combine that with a covert mine layer console, then that gets you 10k. So it's worth it, totally worth it to make this mine build world work. The other unusual one is this holographic mirage decoys, which I got when it was super cheap in the Section 31 lockbox when it first came out. It gives hangar pets, torpedoes and mines 2 seconds of invulnerability, so that just means they can stay alive a little bit longer, which gives them a better chance of hitting the target. Basically, some enemies do use tractor beam repulsors and beam fire at will, and that will take out mines, so this just helps them stay alive and gives them a better chance of hitting. In combination with my primary skill, which is the temporal spec, the reason, again, it's a good spec. You know, continuity is wonderful, which keeps you alive, but the phasic artillery is brilliant. So mines and target torpedoes slightly outphase, granting them a small amount of temporal hit points. So again, it keeps your mines alive, gives them a better chance of getting to the target to inflict the damage. My secondary skill is Miracle Worker, which is useful because the heals really helps your heals, gives you damage resist and a crit chance on your heal, which gives you more heals, and then Embolden gives you a 2% crit chance with every heal as well. I'll be cycling heals very often, as you'll see, so that helps keep it up as well. And then the next one will be Bridge Officers. So, TAC Team, which I should bring up my Space Duty Officers here so you can see. So TAC Team, again, just helps keep you alive, keep it cycling constantly. I'm using 2 blue TAC Team officers. Oh, actually, no, before we get to that, I'm going to go back to the traits again, because I did not do Starship traits or Rep traits. So, Harasser mines, I'm going all in for the mines, so every time I activate fire at will, this will create a mine next to each target. It's way suboptimal, but I'm just doing mines. Improve critical systems, which was from the temporal agent, I think it was temporal agent recruitment event. Again, I'm cycling 2 emergency powers constantly, so this just keeps critical chance of severity up a bit. That was from the Vorgon escort. This is from the Vorgon carrier, I think, restorative support. So when you do a hull heal once every 30 seconds, you get a probe that comes for 10 seconds and gives you some hit points, and it also drains the shields targets of enemies within 5 kilometers. I have the Sif burst, sorry, which is the trait from this ship. What this does is it hits targets with radiation within 3 kilometers, like a PBAOE. All targets within 3 kilometers get hit with radiation damage. And that's every time you do a heal, there's no cooldown. And I'm doing that because I'm getting close to people with mines anyway, so why not build a few more skills around the fact that I'm going to be close to them. And as you can see, I don't have the most amazing list of starship traits here. Definitely nothing special. So final one is superior area denial. You can get it from if you're KDF side, this comes from a drop box. If you're Fed side, unfortunately, it's from a ship, but basically it gives any of your pets. When you use fire at will, your pets get fire at will or scatter volley. So I have fire at will on the thing, and this just gives me, again, a little bit more damage from the pets, and also when you hit targets for 20 seconds after this, it stacks all damage resistance and minus 30 all damage resistance rating on the target for 5 seconds. So, you know, again, not amazing, but you've got something. Okay, back to the station. So, tactical team, again, keeps you alive. 2 DOF officers. Oh, hang on, now I forgot this again. Base rep. I'm always forgetting. So active hull hardening, I use this on just about every ship for a bit of tank. If I don't have on a dead can kind of replace this. Which is a starship trait, but again, it's easy to get if you're Fed, it's less easy to get if you're KDF. So again, gives you a bit of tank. OKS, so every projectile that hits adds a 6-second dot that's worth 12.5% of your outgoing damage. So again, I have seen, like when you get to some tough single targets on this, I can see stacks of up to like 30 of these running at the same time when all the mines hit together. So again, very useful. Chronic capacitor array just help with the cooldown slightly. Auxiliary power configuration for defense. Again, I need a little bit more tank. Needs a bit of tank on the ship. And this one, which is very interesting, control countermeasures. So this works when you get bonus projectile damage and energy weapon damage when a target is controlled. So I'm using the web mines from Nukara, that counts as control. You'll also see I'm using tractor beam repulsors reversed, that counts as control. There are a whole bunch of things that happen here which counts as control effects, and when the enemy's under those effects, then you're getting 9.4 bonus damage against your weapon, so from your weapons. So again, worth having. Right, finally, this time hopefully I've remembered. The attack pattern beta and mine dispel pattern beta. Dispersal pattern beta is I think pumps out the most mines for a single skill with what you have available. Interesting thing about beta is with mines it works for when the mine is launched. So if you have beta on for your 10 seconds and then you launch a mine, any mines that are launched within 10 seconds of hitting beta will all carry around the beta debuff, even if they hit much later. The beta will then impact on the target. So it's quite an interesting combination. I have thought about replacing attack pattern beta with dispersal pattern beta 1, but so far I've kind of been happy with how this works. I might try it later. Emergency power weapons, just to help get a bit of energy out of a bit more damage out of those energy weapons. Then emergency power auxiliary, which cycles the 2, so they're both running simultaneously. I've got reverse shield polarity as my oh shit button. Then eject warp plasma works with tractor beam repulsors. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then a very good heal, auxiliary power to Sif 3. Cycles every 12 seconds. you'll get a 10-second damage resist rating and a really good heal. And obviously that also procs the one of the traits that brings out a little drone, which gives me a further heal and then also damages enemies that are close to me. We've got fire at will to help with damage from the beams, and then the high yield, which turns my one torpedo into a cluster mine torpedo. Science hazard emitters to cleanse any damage over time effect. Photonic officer, which is the last part to help with the cooldown, and also brings a lot of these skills down to very manageable levels. I mean, they're pretty much all on global, basically, when you use this. Tactical team is the one that I really want to be reliable, hence why I'm still doffing it. And then tractor beam repulsors, which is reversed with a tractor beam officer. So how I generally use this is when I'm within 5 kilometers of a bunch of enemies, I'll click this, I will click the eject warp plasma, and then they will all be pulled behind me into clouds of warp plasma. My mines are still being ejected from the back of my ship as I'm doing this, and they're all hitting them as they're caught in this cloud. So it's really effective. And also while you're doing that, it's good to hit the heal as well, because the heal emits a 3-kilometer radius radiation damage effect to any enemies. So, you know, basically there's that aspect of the build as well. So I'm trying to think, that probably covers everything in terms of relevance. Oh yeah, these other two here, the 2 blue officers that reduce the time to recharge mines. I would love the purple ones. These are really expensive. 20% chance to improve recharge time by 4 seconds. Again, you just want to get as many mines out on the field as possible. I mean, you can have 3 of these, so if I unlock the final slot, that's probably what I'd use. These blue ones were just about manageable for, I don't know, I think they're about 3 million a piece. The purple ones are ridiculously expensive. Okay, so I'm going to go and give this a run through on a patrol, just to give you a look at how the power cycling generally works. And then, you know, hopefully that will demonstrate the ship, its usefulness, and how a mine layer is now a feasible build. I'm sure there are some DPS kings out there, if they saw this, will pick holes and be able to find some stuff that I could do better, or traits that could be used better, or ways of boosting the DPS. But overall, I'm just very content keeping this on theme and just being effective. I can go into advanced TFOs with it and really carry my weight, and sometimes coming out the top. So, okay, let's get this. Okay, the old favourite Argala. Everyone knows this one. So, just launch the pets. I'll put them in attack mode. I really don't care whether they're not auto-cycle, they'll just keep respawning. Then I put their weapons in efficiency mode, because why not? Just anything to eke a bit more out of the build. There's no shield mode to make me more tanky, and the attract fire mode I don't really want. Start firing straight away. Any mines that pop out your ship will be very useful. You can use them with this skill, which is available for every captain. Relocate mines. That just like moves them to within range of your target. Well, I should have started cycling power as well. Let's get the high yield up. I'm just going to wait to use this for the Black Ops launcher, which I failed with because they cycled then. So just keep cycling your core whenever your fire at will whenever you can. Keep your emergency power cycling, and keep the photonic officer cycling as often as you can. And I would say just every time you make sure you're hitting practice and beta every time you hit your dispersal, but just keep them moving as often as possible. It's not that complicated. The only remotely complicated part of the build is probably when you're using the TBR with the, combine that with the eject warp field plasma. Actually, that's another quirk of the build, is it takes ages.
You have entered an area
Please drop out of red
controlled by
alert.
the Bentham
So,
Guard.
I mean,
Our
possibly
scans
at some point
indicate
it's
your
worth
ship is armed
changing
and
the auxiliary power
operational,
to
and you have demonstrated your ability to assist in an
engines, and then
ongoing
using the
operation.
DOF that
You will either
boosts
join our
evasive maneuvers to
squadron as a
bring the cooldown
deputized
down,
protectorate officer,
and that way you can move around
or
easier.
clear the area
But I just,
immediately.
again, I haven't unlocked that 5th slot yet.
Local, you are now. Looks like our fight got them to notice us.
Yeah.
let's go over and ask if their boss might come out of hiding.
So I'm going to cluster them in here. So what I'm going to do first is TBR them all in, use the ejectable plasma, do that, then I'm going to bring the mines close to me. So again, all kinds of havoc here.
Keep constant. We will not go quietly.
Cycle my kills anyway, so one to do that.
You will stand down and surrender to the Benson guard.
Skill, and then I'm going to use
Sensors are picking up small habitations
the beam again.
possibly consistent with moleholes, temporary hideouts.
Again, very short work of them. And I'm forgetting to hit those officer, keep those powers cycling. Do a heal, hit the radar with some radiation. And the barrier is down.
We do what we want, where we want.
I'm going to do the
Picked up a tight beam transmission on a new frequency.
beam of pulses again and try and
Now, but it was probably a call for assistance.
stuck in. Finding it hard to move those guys. And here's the boss. So again, just keep ejecting mines, that's fine. They're well out of range, there's no way they're going to be tracking him. But I'm going to use this skill again, the relocate mine skill. There we go, I'm just going to get a little bit closer, so the one I press, there we go. So that's 15, 21 stacks of Mega Capturing, 27, right, okay, so the high point was like 20, 25 or something.
Take the suspect into
Anyway. So, as you can see, it's way off meta. It's so far off meta, it's ridiculous.
Thank you for your assistance.
But it's
and
feasible.
welcome to this sector.
Definitely works.
We recommend that you get underway in the Kazon.
Out here.
We have the suspect.
Yeah, so as you can see, it's kind of an unusual build. It's well off meta. Mine's just bizarre, but as I said, it's viable. That was a patrol. Obviously, no real challenge for anybody with a decent setup there. I've taken the ship into advanced. It's performed very well. You do have to just make sure you're moving it around plenty and getting close enough to the enemies. But yeah, I just kind of like the, I like the variety of it. I like doing something a bit different, and this certainly ticks that box. Okay, so I hope this has all been useful and informative, and thanks for listening. If you've got any suggestions, any comments, by all means, leave them below. Thanks very much. Bye.